Welcome back to Bleacher Brawls. My name is Derek. I'm here with John, and we're here to discuss the trade deadline. We're going to talk a little bit of Yankees, as this is our normal slot for our Yankees YouTube video. However, we'll also talk a little bit about some of the trades that have already happened across the MLB as well after we get done with a little bit of our Yankees talk. I don't want to waste any time, though. I want to dive straight into this. We're going to just change up this whole YouTube style. We're diving straight into this from now on out. So, John, thoughts on the Yankees? They haven't done anything yet. What are you expecting them to do with this deadline? Who do you think who do you think could they trade if they trade anyone on the big league team? Do you think they're going to be full-blown sellers? What is the temperature around the Yankees right now as they enter the trade deadline?
The temperature of the Yankees is Brian Cashman is an idiot because they should have made a deal for Bellinger a while back. Like, as soon as they had the chance, they should have made a deal for Bellinger. That didn't happen, and the Cubs have kind of creeped back into the race, so now it's not going to happen. The Yankees have needed help for a while, so sitting and waiting and trying to play things out was really not the smart move. They should have struck early. And I know Brian Cashman in the past, his whole deal has been like he doesn't want to... He'll wait out or he'll try to hold out so he doesn't have to give up too many prospects. But he's never going to play these prospects anyway. I mean, Esteban Florial was untouchable. He played like a handful. He hasn't even had 100 Major League at-bats, and he'll probably never get there. The Yankees hang on to their prospects that never really pan out. And I don't know. This team just befuddles me. So if you ask me what I think's going to happen based on previous results, I think the Yankees are going to trade for 2 bullpen guys and a starting pitcher, and all 3 are going to need Tommy John by September. And that's it. It'll just be a complete waste and a wash. This team, if they were smart, would just accept the fact that they're probably not getting back into the race. There's a lot of better teams than them. There's a lot of teams in American League right now that are better than them that just made themselves better while the Yankees were waiting around doing nothing. So you just dropped 2 out of 3 to the Orioles. That's not good. It's not a good sign. You got beat up by the Rays again tonight. There's a famous quote in baseball history about another team being your daddy. It was originally "The Yankees Are My Daddy" by Pedro Martinez. Well, the Rays are the Yankees' daddy right now. That's it. You cannot beat this team. You've not been able to beat this team for years. So assume this is another series loss. Why would you be improving your team and giving up assets? Just sell and try to restock. That's the best you can do. I have my idea of a few players on the Yankees that might have some value. But is there anyone on the Yankees as a Red Sox? Not saying necessarily you trade for the Red Sox, but as an Arizona Diamondbacks fan, you're a resident Arizona Diamondbacks fan. Is there anyone, you're wearing the hat, you're wearing the Diamondbacks hat, so is there anyone on the Yankees that you could see it being some value if you're the general manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Yeah, as from the Red Sox point of view, yeah, they're not trading anyone to the Red Sox. However, Diamondbacks maybe, but I'll just take this in more of like a just general like answer. Like, for the Yankees, you're looking at expiring contracts. IKF's expiring, Luis Severino, guys like that. Wandy Peralta's expiring. I don't think the Yankees trade him, but, like, if you're a team, you're calling on him. Like, you'd be stupid not to call at the very least, right? Like, get the phone lines working, right? The worst thing you get is no, or they just hang up on you. Like, okay, like, that's fine. Right? That's the worst thing that can happen. So I think overall, when you're looking at it, that's what you get. That's what you do. Just ask, try and see what they do, and what the asking price could potentially be. I don't know exactly what it would be for those guys, but like especially too because some of the Yankees asking prices are a little wild. I think there was the report that they're asking for just like an arm and a leg plus like a whole another person's arm and a leg as well for Gleyber Torres. And it's like it was just like. I think you could probably even say it was like a little outrageous. I shouldn't even say a little. It was definitely outrageous. But I think even you could say it was outrageous. Come on. That's why it's so tough for the Yankees to sell to, I think, and trade those expiring deals because their asking prices are going to be astronomical. And although it's a seller's market, it's not that much of a seller. It's not a seller's market to where teams are just going to trade these massive pieces for you just for a guy like a Gleyber Torres. No offense to Gleyber Torres, but You're not worth two of the Marlins' young pitchers plus two of their top prospects. No offense, but you're just not worth that, right? And
it's absolutely.
I think that's the
right.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's the thing.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that because they aren't going to get. The Yankees have a high asking price, and you're. Yeah, I like Gleyber Torres, but like, let's be realistic about what Gleyber Torres is. There's other options out there available comparable to Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres is not a top 10 player in Major League Baseball. He's not Juan Soto. You're not getting a king's ransom for Gleyber Torres. You mentioned Wandy Peralta because he's a guy you really haven't thought. No one's mentioned about trading, and I was thinking that anybody on the Yankees right now, Wandy Peralta could probably give you the biggest return. He is a really good left-handed reliever, and any team in baseball is going to need bullpen help. So I think that's the one guy that the Yankees could really get a good return on, and. As much as I like Wandy Peralta, there's always a chance you could re-sign him at the end of the season as well if they really wanted him back. So ask for as much as you can get for Wandy Peralta, and then you have to trade him. Like whoever gives you the best offer, you have to deal him. Then you mentioned we were talking about Gleyber. I know that read the reports that the Marlins are very interested in him. Does you really think he fits there in Miami? Again, I don't think they're going to get what the Yankees have asked for him. But is there a fit for Gleyber in Miami if the Yankees could come down off their price?
Maybe. I know they have a rise at second, but I don't see him. I feel like he's better off at first, but then they have Garrett Cooper at first base and they have Jorge Soler DHing, so it's probably not unless they want to put him at short, which. Honestly, they put Jazz in center, so maybe they'd be dumb enough to try that. I don't know. I'm just saying, who knows? I don't think it makes sense for them though. So yeah, it's interesting. Harrison Bader's another guy. I don't think you can trade him, but he's expiring deal. The interesting one that really makes me interested is Frankie Montas, and not because any team's going to take him because you want him because he's not playing. However. Take his money because the Yankees don't want to go over the Cohen tax threshold, which is the fourth tax threshold that they added in just because of Steve Cohen. The Yankees don't want to go over that, right? And they could potentially be and I think they're close to it. They don't want to go over. Take some of Montas's money off their hands and it gives them more money to work with at the deadline if they truly want to buy. You could call them and be like, hey, we'll take Frankie Montas off your hands with that money. Just give us a prospect. And now as a team, you're getting a prospect for free. Essentially. But for the Yankees, now they have more wiggle room to work with. Even if it's not even a great prospect, just get someone. And all you're going to do is eat, 2 months of a contract? That's not even that much money in the first place. That's where I think a team could get very creative with the Yankees. Because they don't want to go over that Cohen tax threshold, which I think is $270 million or $273 or something like that, and they're near it. They're in the 260s, right? So if they want to add big at the deadline, maybe that's an option for a team to come in and also take a prospect away from the Yankees. Not going to be a super high level prospect, but something's better than nothing, and maybe you could finagle your way into a deal by doing that with the Yankees. It's an interesting way to do it because. There are reports the Yankees don't want to cross that threshold, and Frankie Montas, he's of no value to the Yankees. And he's probably negative value because they also have to pay him, which adds towards their payroll, which puts them closer to the threshold, that Cohen threshold. So maybe you could get creative with that. I think that's the one that really kind of stands out if the Yankees do want to truly buy at the deadline. As let's get creative here. I don't know if any team would be willing to do it, but I think I think to me, if I was a team, I'd at least call and be like, hey, you want to make a big move at the deadline, you want to free up some money, we'll take Frankie Montas off your hands, just give us a prospect. Doesn't even need to be something crazy, just give us something. Because all I would be giving up to the Yankees is cash considerations. Cash considerations can be $25,000. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. They can. It's a good option for any team looking to make a deal with the Yankees. I would. if you're doing something like that, you have to do it under the right. If you're the Yankees, you have to do it under the right circumstances. I don't want them trading Wandy Peralta for nothing because the team offers to take Frankie Montas's contract. And
I meant it in like a totally separate deal.
But I'm saying the way this team has been run the past couple of years, that wouldn't even surprise me. I just think I agree. Like, I don't know. I hope the Yankees can get under the threshold, but I just hope they don't do something stupid in order for that to happen. I just have no faith in this team, and the fact that we're sitting here and it's a trade deadline, and after the way being in the ALCS last year, and now we're talking about being sellers, it's depressing. It's pathetic. And it's just sad how poorly this team is constructed. So why don't we get into some of these other deals? I can't talk about this anymore. I'm already drinking on my Yankees whiskey glass. I can't deal with this.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about probably the biggest name to be dealt at the deadline. Max Scherzer going to the Texas Rangers. Massive deal. The Mets are also going to eat a bunch of Scherzer's contract because like he's making so much money, you kind of have to. And it also allows the Mets to, by eating a bunch of that contract, allows the Mets to bring in a prospect in Luis Angel Acuna, who is very good. I mean, Ronald Acuna Jr.'s little brother, but more of a prototypical leadoff guy, can steal bases, going to be single doubles, not a ton of home runs. He's sending like 310, 315 in Double-A this year, having a very solid year in the Ranger system before the trade. So I think overall, it's probably a win-win deal both ways. I think for the Mets, it's a win. You get a guy in Acuna who is potentially going to be a very solid big leaguer, and for the Rangers, you get a guy in Scherzer who, I mean, kind of replaces DeGrom, while DeGrom's had to go get Tommy John and could be out maybe even through next year. Who knows? Like, and Scherzer, you also get Scherzer to pick up his option too. There's also that, so I'd say it's pretty solid for both sides.
I agree. I think it worked out really well. The Mets trimmed... Well, I mean, they're still paying a huge part of that contract, so I shouldn't even say they trimmed down their payroll. But that prospect...
they don't really care, though.
Yeah, Steve Cohen doesn't care. And that prospect, that's fantastic for them. I think the Mets did well for themselves. And for the Rangers, I mean, good for them for going all in a sense. They're really not holding back and making... I think they realize, and I do agree on this, that Houston is weak right now. They just went through a long postseason last year, World Series win. Maybe they're a little complacent. They just don't look like the same team. And the Rangers realize that they can really take this division, the AL West. So good for them for going all out. I really respect that move. Scherzer isn't Scherzer of old, though I still think he slots in pretty well in that rotation. And I think that new ballpark, I was at one of the last games of the ballpark at Arlington, so I saw the old stadium, have not been to the new stadium. I believe Globe Life is more of a pitcher's park, if I'm correct. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be a good move for Scherzer. So all in all, I think that was a move that it was a little shocking. I didn't expect it, but I think it works for both sides.
Yeah, the Rangers Park, Globe Life Field, is actually a park factor of 101, so it's like 1% better than... It's a 1% lean to the hitter side. So it's essentially a neutral ballpark. The other big trade, one of the other big trades was Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez going to the Angels, and them pronouncing that they're not trading Ohtani, essentially, for Edgar Cuero, a catcher, their number 2 prospect, top 100 prospect in baseball, and Kai Bush, the Angels' number 4 prospect. However, when you look at their prospect rankings, number 1 prospect Logan O'Hoppe was in the big leagues this year, then got hurt. He's going to be a big leaguer next year when he comes back. So realistically, the Angels traded their number 1 and number 3 prospects, not their number 2 and number 4 prospects. Pretty big haul for the White Sox, right?
Yeah, definitely. Huge haul for the White Sox. Did the Angels pick up help? Who did Grichuk? He went to the Angels, right? They
also get Grichuk and Crone. They got Grichuk and Crone too.
So that's it. Okay, so really the Angels, that's good because that team has a lot of weak spots. I was going to say, if that was just the pitching, if they only addressed the pitching, it wasn't going to be enough. But the fact they added a little bit of lineup help, not like the greatest lineup help, but enough. Tread water until Trout gets back. This is a team that can make the playoffs. Giolito's been having a really good year, so that's a good move by the Angels. They got a real solid 1-2 punch at the top of that rotation. If they can make it to the playoffs, that puts them in a good spot. So you have Giolito and Ohtani as a 1-2. Who's their number 3 and 4 starter?
They have Reed Detmers, Tyler Anderson, Patrick Sandoval, who I'd probably say Sandoval is their number 3. Reed Detmers is probably their 4, and then it's like a mix of like Griffin Canning, Chase Silseth, and Tyler Anderson.
Okay, so yeah, they definitely needed that 1-2 punch at the top. So the rest of that rotation's a little weak, but good for them. Everyone wants to see Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani in the playoffs. It's a joke that team can't get to the playoffs despite having that much talent. So yeah, it could, and especially playing in the AL West where you're beating up on the A's pretty much every year. The past few years have been beating up on the Rangers, and the Mariners had a good year last year, but you've had several years with Trout and Ohtani where you should have been beating up on the Mariners. So this is a team that should have been finishing in at least second place in that division on a pretty regular basis and competing for a wild card, and they never do it. So they did go all in, and I'm really interested to see how this plays out for them because I just have no faith in them. I look at the Angels as like the Mets. Like, you're going to find a way to screw it up. So I'm interested to see how the rest of the season plays out for the Angels.
Yeah, definitely. The other trade I want to talk about is, because you covered that one pretty well, I do want to talk about the Rays getting Aaron Savali. Big AL East implications. Savali going to the Rays, very, very big deal. He's had a very good year. His last 13 starts, he's got a 2.34 ERA, if I remember correctly. And he's got team control too, so very solid piece for the Rays. Very, very solid piece. And they got for Aaron Savali, they got Kyle Manzardo, first base prospect for the Rays, who the Guardians are getting. Just tears the cover off the baseball, destroys baseballs. I think he hit 300, 400, 500 in the minors last year between high A and double A, and actually did that at both levels if you just look at the levels separately, I'm pretty sure. This year, a little bit of a rougher year in AAA. He's only hitting like 230. He's had terrible batted ball luck, though. His exit velocities have actually gone up this year, but so a lot of bad luck there. But also too, the Guardians came out and said today they see him as their starting first baseman next year, which says a lot. And also too, like, they do have Josh Naylor, they have Josh Bell, like both those guys are first basemen. Right now, I know Naylor's played the outfield before. That's also is where he got hurt, so I wouldn't put him back out there. But maybe they DH him or DH Manzardo. I know Josh Bell's been DHing, but he's got $16 million player option. He'll probably take it, but maybe they trade him this offseason. Or like I said, maybe it is just as simple as...
When you mentioned $16 million in the Cleveland Guardians, yes, they're going to trade him. They're not paying $16 million. That team's an embarrassment.
But like I said, maybe they do maybe they want someone else to DH. Maybe they do put Naylor in the outfield, or just DH Naylor and then trade Bell, however they figure it out, right? But Manzardo, he's only going to play first base. He's not playing anywhere else. But like I said, just flat out hits. But from the Rays side of things, it's not a big loss. And this is why having organizational depth in the front system, we talk about it with the Red Sox so much, especially me, but that's why having organizational depth is so important. And there's the 4 levels of a big league team. I've mentioned this before. The MLB team, MLB depth, top-end prospects, and depth in the farm system. It's important to have all 4 of those things. So the Rays have all 4 of those things, so they can make a trade like this where you're trading a guy Manzardo, who as a first baseman is a top 50 prospect in baseball. That's not an everyday thing, right? And for Manzardo as well, look at the Rays. You have Yandy Diaz at the big league level. That is massive, right? Curtis Mead, who's also in AAA, can play first base as well. Also plays second and third, but can't play first base. And then you look at their first-round pick in 2022. He was a first baseman. Let me look for his name, actually. I got to look for his name.
While you're looking up his name, I'll say the one thing that's going to keep the Rays from ever winning anything is playing in Tropicana Field with the stupid catwalks, and it's just you need to get a new stadium, for God's sakes. You're a Major League Baseball team. That's an embarrassment.
Yeah, they need something with a roof.
What you were saying.
Yeah, they need something on the roof, but not that. Xavier Isaac, he's their first baseman. They drafted him in the first round in the 2022 MLB draft. He's been fantastic in the lower levels of the minors, and he arguably has more upside than Manzardo. Still a longer way to go, so obviously lower floor, but arguably a higher ceiling with him too. So like the Rays, they've got first base kind of covered, right? So Manzardo doesn't really. The exact same thing happened to Nathaniel Lowe a couple of years ago with the Rays. They didn't have room for him, and they flipped him to Texas to bring in pieces back. And he's been great for Texas, but even you look at the Rays, and it's just like he didn't really have anywhere to fit. Like, and that happens a decent amount with the Rays, and there was a chance that was going to end up happening with Manzardo. They just didn't have a fit for him. So you capitalize and bring in a guy like Savali. I think it's going to be a win-win deal for both sides of it. But you could argue it's a bigger win for the Rays because you get Savali, and the loss of Manzardo, even if he does well, isn't going to hurt as much because you have Leandro Diaz, because you have Curtis Mead, because you have Xavier Isaac, who you just drafted last year. So I think overall win-win, but I think the Rays definitely did very well in this deal because the loss of Manzardo it's not nearly as big of a loss for the Rays as much as it is a gain for Cleveland. It's not that it's a loss for the Rays, but not as much as a gain Cleveland is getting from getting him. John, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
No. Oh, one thing. It's funny. There's so much activity happening already today. It wasn't until we signed on to record this that I found out that Mark Canha was traded from the Mets. So apparently that happened earlier in the day. I completely missed that. And the Cubs. It's funny. I was saying the Yankees needed to deal for Cody Bellinger. There's a lot of rumors to the Nationals third baseman Candelario, or however you pronounce the name, and the Cubs of all teams went out for him. So the Yankees are out of it. It's too late. It's going to be too hard to address the positions in need. So just get what you can. If you can get someone, just get someone that can breathe for Severino. Try to get some kind of good return for Peralta. I'm completely open to trading guys like Domingo Germán, Harrison Bader, and Gleyber Torres. So it's unfortunate, again, that we're having this discussion right now. But at least we know with the Yankees losing these series, losing to the Orioles, inevitably going to lose to the Rays, that just shut it down for the season and start planning for next year.
Yeah, I think that is a good place to wrap it up. We'll see what the Yankees do. It'll be interesting. We'll see what the Red Sox do. We'll have a Red Sox YouTube video, hopefully later this week. So we'll probably be able to discuss what the Red Sox have actually do because they haven't done anything really besides the Kike Hernandez trade. So we'll see what happens then, and we'll probably have some sort of recap in general talking about trades from both teams as well as across all the baseball. That'll Pat and I are doing a Bleacher Bums column that'll go up Wednesday. We'll cover the trade deadline. So yeah, I think it's a great place to wrap it up. For John, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning in. Check out all our links in the description, and we will see you next time.